After cleaning the whole house and cooking for his entire family for Thanksgiving, my cold daughter-in-law whispered, "We only invited you because the caterer fell through." Then she took credit for my food and called me the help in front of everyone. When I looked to my son, he said, "Don't make a scene, Mom." I sat there, heartbreaking, until one comment from my grandson changed everything. "I'm Maggie. I'm 62 years old and I live alone just outside Wilmington, North Carolina. My husband, Paul, passed away 7 years ago. Since then, the holidays have been lonely. Not just because he's gone, but because my only son, Nathan, got married and slowly started pulling away from me. Nathan was my world. I raised him mostly on my own. Paul worked long shifts at the port, so I was the one who made school lunches, helped with homework, stayed up when he had fevers. We weren't rich, but we were happy. And we had traditions, especially around Thanksgiving. That was our thing. When Nathan went off to college, things started to shift. He met Brielle during his senior year. I'll be honest, I never felt good around her. She's sharp, yes. Smart, well-dressed, confident. But cold. She never looked me in the eye for more than a second. Always corrected me. Laughed under her breath when I said something. Small town. I tried to be understanding. Maybe she was just shy. Or maybe she thought I was trying to interfere. So I stepped back. I never complained. I just smiled and brought pie. When they got married, I helped pay for part of the wedding. Brielle's family was rich, but they had demands. They didn't like the idea of Nathan's mom showing up in a homemade dress or bringing food. I still remember her mom pulling me aside and asking if I had something fancier to wear to the rehearsal dinner. I stayed quiet. I always stayed quiet. For Nathan's sake. After they moved to Raleigh, I didn't hear much from them. At first it was a weekly phone call. Then monthly. Then nothing unless I reached out first. I sent gifts for birthdays, for anniversaries. I sent cards and homemade cookies for Josh, my grandson. Most of the time, I never got a thank you. Last year, I sat alone on Thanksgiving. They told me they were traveling. Later, I found out through Facebook that they hosted a party. I saw Brielle posing with a wine glass in her hand, the table decorated with candles and gold napkin rings. Nathan was smiling in the background. It felt like someone punched me in the heart. But I didn't say anything. I just waited for this year. I hoped maybe they'd remember. Maybe they'd need me. 2 days before Thanksgiving, I got a call from Brielle. "Hi Maggie," she said, all sugary. "I know this is last minute, but we'd love it if you could join us this year." I was stunned. I sat on my couch gripping the phone. "Oh, really? I'd love that." "Well, actually," she added quickly, "we just had a little hiccup. Our caterer fell through. Everything was booked. And I thought, what could be better than having a homemade meal, right? You're amazing in the kitchen." I swallowed. Hard. But I said yes. Of course I said yes. I'd be happy to help. She sounded relieved. Not happy. Not excited. Just relieved. Like I was a solution, not a guest. I spent the whole day before Thanksgiving prepping. I made my cornbread stuffing, the one Nathan loved as a boy. I chopped onions and celery, mixed the cranberry sauce from scratch. I bought fresh herbs and seasoned the turkey overnight. I even made apple and pecan pies. I woke up at 4 a.m. Thanksgiving morning and loaded everything into my car. When I pulled into their neighborhood, I felt out of place. Every house looked like something from a magazine. White brick, black shutters, perfect lawns. I parked at the curb and walked up carrying bags of ingredients and pans. Brielle answered the door wearing a cream-colored dress and nude heels. Her makeup was perfect. She looked me up and down like I was a plumber. "The kitchen's clean," she said. "Please try not to spill anything." That was her greeting. I forced a smile. "I'll be careful." From there, it was a blur of work. She pointed to a list taped on the fridge menu, with all the dishes I had already made. She didn't touch a knife, didn't crack an egg. She scrolled on her phone most of the time. Occasionally she peeked in and asked how long something would take. Around noon, Nathan walked in. "Hey, Mom," he said, pecking me on the cheek. "Looks like you're saving the day." I smiled. "That's what moms do, right?" He didn't respond. Just opened a beer and walked into the living room. By 4:30, guests started arriving. Brielle's parents came first. Her mom hugged me stiffly. Her dad nodded. Then came her sisters, her neighbors, and some people I didn't know. Everyone was wearing nice clothes, jewelry, leather shoes. I was still in my apron and sneakers. No one acknowledged me. They acted like I was part of the staff. At one point, Brielle walked into the kitchen with a glass of wine. You might want to stay in here once people sit down, she said quietly. I don't want anyone to be confused about roles. Roles? I asked. She leaned in. Just let me handle things, okay? We only invited you because the caterer fell through. Let's not make this complicated. I couldn't speak. My throat tightened. Dinner was served at 5:15. Everyone sat at the long formal table. There was one empty chair at the end, closest to the kitchen. Mine. I sat. Quiet. People started eating. Compliments started flying. This gravy is incredible. The turkey's perfect. Moist, even the white meat. I need this stuffing recipe. I waited for Brielle to give me a glance, a nod, something. She stood up. I just want to thank everyone for coming, she said, raising her glass. This meal was a labor of love. I picked the recipes myself and made sure every detail was perfect. Honestly, it was stressful, but so worth it. People clapped. I looked at Nathan. He looked down at his plate. She continued. I couldn't have done it without a little help. Our helper Maggie stepped in when things got crazy. So let's raise a glass to her too, for her support. People clapped again. Weakly. I felt my stomach drop. The word she used, helper, it was a slap in the face. I turned to Nathan, whispering, Are you going to let her talk about me like that? He didn't look at me. Just whispered back. Don't make a scene, Mom. That did it. That shattered me. I sat there, holding back tears, thinking of the hours I spent on my feet, the gas money I used to get here, the love I poured into every dish. And for what? Then I heard it. Why is Grandma sitting over there by the kitchen? It was my grandson, Josh. The whole table turned. She made all the food. Dad told me. He said Grandma saved Thanksgiving. Dead silence. Josh kept going. Why did Mom say Grandma's the help? She's not the help. She's family. I looked up. My eyes met his. And something clicked. My hands stopped shaking. I stood up slowly and said, You're right, Josh. I did make all the food. Every single dish. Brielle didn't cook a thing. People shifted uncomfortably. Nathan froze. I cleaned. I cooked. I gave up my holiday to be here because I thought I was needed. I didn't realize I was just filling in for a cancelled catering order. Brielle stood up. Maggie, please. I held up my hand. No. I stayed quiet for years. I was always polite, even when I was ignored, excluded, mocked. But today crossed the line. I looked at everyone. Enjoy your meal. It's the last one you'll ever get from me. And I walked out. I got home around 9 p.m. I didn't even take off my shoes. I just sat in my car for almost an hour, staring at the steering wheel. My apron still smelled like turkey and rosemary. My hands were sore, and my heart felt worse. The quiet inside my house was deafening. I looked at the empty counter where I used to set out plates for Paul and Nathan. I sat down at the table, poured myself a small glass of wine, and cried for the first time in months. Not the kind of crying where you sniff and wipe it away. The kind where your chest shakes. Where it all spills out. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I woke up to 27 text messages and 6 missed calls. 5 of the messages were from Nathan. Mom, we need to talk. Josh is upset. He keeps asking why you left. Please don't do this. You embarrass Brielle. You crossed the line, Mom. Call me. I didn't answer. The other messages were from numbers I didn't know. One of Brielle's sisters. The HOA lady. Even someone from her Pilates group, I think. They all said some version of, that was really inappropriate. Or, we understand you were emotional, but that wasn't the time. Or, you owe Brielle an apology. Not one person thanked me for the meal. Not one person asked how I was doing. That same afternoon, I heard from Josh's school. His teacher called me, said Josh got into a fight on the playground. Another kid made a joke about his grandma being the maid, and Josh punched him. Hard. He got suspended for 2 days. I went straight to the school and picked him up. The minute he got in the car, he said, I'm not sorry. He lied about you. I hate when people lie. I took a deep breath and kept driving. We didn't go back to his house. I took him to my place. We watched cartoons. I made him grilled cheese and tomato soup. He fell asleep on the couch with my old quilt pulled up to his chin. At 9:15 p.m., Nathan showed up at my door. He didn't knock. He just started pounding. I opened the door and stepped outside so Josh wouldn't wake up. Why didn't you bring him home? He asked. He looked angry, but tired. He needed a safe place. You don't get to decide that. You weren't going to tell me he got suspended, were you? He rubbed his forehead. I was going to handle it. No. You were going to hide it. Just like you've been hiding everything else. He looked me in the eye then. For the first time in a long time. You humiliated my wife. She humiliated herself. I just told the truth. He lowered his voice. She says you planned that out? That you came there to make a scene? I laughed bitterly. I came to help. I left because she lied. You let her lie. I was trying to keep peace. Peace doesn't mean silence. You let her take credit for my food. You let her call me the help in front of our grandson. He didn't say anything. Look, I said, softening. I don't want to fight. But this isn't working, Nathan. I've been treated like a stranger for years. He looked down at the porch steps. I know. There was a pause. Then he said something I never expected. She told me not to invite you last year. She said you'd bring the mood down. So I didn't. I'm sorry. That one hit deep. Do you even love her? I asked. His eyes welled up. I don't know. We stood there in silence. I felt more sadness than anger. My son looked broken. Then he said, I think she's afraid of you. I blinked. Afraid? Of what? You make her feel small. I shook my head. I don't do anything but try to belong. She doesn't like not being in control. Well, she's not in control anymore. He looked confused. You're going to stay here tonight? I said. Josh is sleeping, and I'm not waking him up. You can take the guest room or leave without him. He nodded. He stayed. The next day, Brielle came to pick up Josh. She didn't even ask to come in. Just stood outside, arms crossed, sunglasses on. Her voice was cold. You made this worse for everyone. I didn't say a word. She looked past me toward the house. Nathan's going to be staying with a friend for a few days. We need space. Still, I said nothing. She leaned in slightly and hissed. You think you've won? You're just a sad, lonely woman who has nothing better to do than meddle. That's when Josh came to the door behind me. He had his backpack on. He looked up at his mom and said, I don't want to go. Brielle froze. You need to, she said. No, he said firmly. You lied. And you made Grandma cry. She flinched like he hit her. I put my hand on his shoulder. It's okay, baby. You go with your mom now. He stepped back. Only if I can come back tomorrow. She stared at me. Then nodded tight-lipped. I watched them drive away. Later that week, I got an email from one of Brielle's friends. A woman I barely knew. She said she heard what happened and wanted to let me know that Brielle has a reputation for lying. That she once took credit for a baby shower someone else planned. That she steals recipes off Pinterest and claims they're hers. That she talks badly about her in-laws to anyone who will listen. It wasn't just me. Another message came in, this one from someone named Kelsey, an old college friend of Nathan's. She said she saw the dinner unfold, and that she was disgusted. She offered to come forward if I ever needed receipts. Receipts? That gave me an idea. The email from Kelsey stuck in my head all night. She had been sitting 2 seats down from Nathan at the Thanksgiving table. I barely remembered her, but she remembered everything. The next morning I replied, Hi Kelsey. I really appreciate you reaching out. I'm not looking to stir up drama, but if you remember specific things that were said or done that night, I'd be grateful. I think it's time the truth came out. She responded within an hour. Said she'd taken a video of the dinner toast. At first just for memories, but then kept recording when things started to feel off. She sent me the file. It started with Brielle's toast. I coordinated everything, picked the menu. Then her little smirk when she called me the help. Clear as day. You could hear scattered clapping, but also awkward coughs. Then you could hear Josh, his voice loud and clear. Grandma's not the help. She's the boss of Thanksgiving. And there it was. Proof. I saved the video. Then I called my lawyer. You see, something had been bugging me ever since Nathan said Brielle didn't want me at last year's Thanksgiving. I started digging. Back in 2019, when Paul passed away, I gave Nathan power of attorney so he could help me handle the estate. I trusted him completely. But after I saw how far he'd let Brielle push me down, I decided to make sure everything in my will, in my home, and in my accounts was still how I left it. It wasn't. Brielle had added herself as an authorized party on one of my savings accounts. Not a joint owner, but enough to get access. Nathan had likely done it. Just in case. But with her influence, who knows what she had touched. When I asked my lawyer how this was even possible, he said, "Sometimes people sign things they don't read when they trust too much." He was right. So I made changes. I cut them both off from every account. Froze everything temporarily. Rewrote my will entirely, leaving Josh as the sole heir, under the supervision of a financial trustee until he turned 25. I named a friend of mine, a retired judge, as the executor. Someone I knew Brielle couldn't manipulate. It wasn't about the money. It was about control. About taking it back. That weekend, I posted the video online. Not on Facebook. Not under my name. I uploaded it anonymously to a private community for people who've dealt with toxic family. It blew up. Thousands of comments. I'm crying. That little boy is braver than 90% of adults. The fact that she used the help like that? Disgusting. This is why I stopped cooking for my ungrateful family. It wasn't revenge yet, but it felt like the tide was turning. Then the real twist came. On Monday morning, I got a call from the school counselor. She asked if I could come in for a meeting with Josh and his parents. When I arrived, Nathan was already there, eyes puffy. Brielle came 10 minutes late, sunglasses on, looking like she hadn't slept. Josh sat between them, arms folded. The counselor looked serious. Josh has been acting out in class. Not aggressively, but emotionally. Drawing pictures of being torn in half. He says he doesn't feel safe at home. My throat tightened. He said his mom lies a lot. That she makes his dad lie too. Brielle shifted in her seat. He's exaggerating. The counselor looked her straight in the face. Kids don't usually lie about what hurts them. They act it out. I didn't say anything. I just looked at my son. He finally broke. We've been fighting every night since Thanksgiving. Josh hears it. He cries in his room. The counselor nodded slowly. You need to fix this. Or you risk losing more than just each other. We walked out in silence. Josh took my hand and said, "Can I stay with you again?" I looked at Brielle. She opened her mouth to argue, but Nathan stepped in. Yeah. You can. That night, while Josh slept peacefully in the guest room, Nathan sat on my porch. He held a beer but didn't drink. I think I'm done, he said quietly. With the marriage. I didn't cheer. I didn't push him either. I just nodded. He looked broken. I saw the video. I didn't know someone filmed it. I watched it 5 times. I was so ashamed. I didn't say anything. She's been like this for years. He whispered. I just thought it was easier to let her run things. It's easier, I said, until it isn't. He nodded. But Brielle wasn't done. 2 days later, I found out she'd been calling everyone who was at Thanksgiving, spinning the story. Saying I staged the whole thing. That I manipulated Josh. That I faked being mistreated for attention. What she didn't know was that Kelsey had already shared the video with a few of those people. And they'd seen the truth. Then came the final twist. Kelsey forwarded me an email. Brielle had emailed the PTA at Josh's school, trying to ban me from school events. Said I was emotionally unstable and interfering in family matters. But she accidentally CC'd the wrong person. Instead of the PTA president, she sent it to a group email with several teachers and parents, including my former coworker's daughter, a well-respected teacher at the school. The email leaked. And suddenly, Brielle's image cracked. People started pulling away. The HOA president stopped inviting her to events. The moms group she ran removed her as coordinator. Even her Pilates class kicked her from their group chat. Her perfect image started to rot from the inside. And that was just the beginning. The week after the PTA email leaked, things moved fast. I didn't even have to lift a finger. The parents who used to fawn over Brielle suddenly wanted nothing to do with her. Some of them emailed the school, saying they were uncomfortable with her volunteering around children after reading her message. A few even contacted the school board. She tried to explain, of course. Played the victim. Said it was a misunderstood joke, and that I had been making things up about her. But that video, had already made its way into the right hands. The version Kelsey shared was longer now. It showed the whole scene. My face, my pain, Josh's voice cutting through the noise, and Brielle's cruel smirk. She couldn't spin it. One of the other parents from Thanksgiving, a woman named Denise, emailed me privately. I'm sorry for how we treated you. I see things differently now. I didn't reply. Then Nathan filed for a separation. He didn't tell her he was doing it that week. She found out when she was served the papers. I heard she screamed so loud, the neighbors came to the door. He took Josh and moved into a small rental on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Just a 2-bedroom duplex. But for the first time in years he said he felt like he could breathe. Josh smiled more. I visited them once a week. We cooked together. I taught him how to make cornbread from scratch, just like I used to teach Nathan. Nathan apologized a lot. Quietly. Slowly. He stopped trying to justify his silence. He just admitted he had failed me, and Josh. I didn't hug him right away. It took time. But eventually I did. I miss you, I said once, after dinner. I miss you too, Mom, he said. I just didn't know how to fix it. You start by not pretending it didn't happen. But Brielle wasn't done yet. She filed a counterclaim. Tried to go after Nathan's accounts, which, frankly, weren't much. She tried to demand full custody of Josh. Claimed I was interfering and poisoning him against her. That backfired. Because by then, the school had opened an investigation, quietly, into Brielle's behavior with the students. Nothing criminal. Just a pattern of controlling, inappropriate comments. One teacher reported her for berating a cafeteria worker in front of students. She wasn't just losing control at home. She was unraveling in public. When the judge reviewed her messages, including the PDA email and a few nasty texts she sent Nathan, he ruled that Josh would stay with his father full-time, and that I was permitted regular visitation. Brielle was granted supervised visits every other weekend. She nearly fainted in court. 2 months later, I got a call from the hospital. Brielle had been admitted after an episode. Word got around that her parents had cut her off financially. That her image in the community had collapsed. The house went up for sale. Luxury cars were sold. She moved into a small condo near downtown. Alone. I never laughed. Never gloated. Because revenge, when it's real, doesn't need celebration. It's quiet. It's the moment you look in the mirror and realize you don't feel small anymore. That you're not afraid of being left out of their world, because you have your own again. This Mother's Day, Nathan and Josh came over. They brought flowers. Nathan made ribs. Josh baked a pie, with a lot of help. While we were eating, Josh said, I told my teacher that I want to be a chef when I grow up. Just like Grandma. I smiled. For once, I didn't feel sad about the past. I just felt thankful for the present. Nathan sat next to me. I can't change what I let happen, he said. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing better. And he has. As for me? I changed my will. I donated half of my estate to a women's shelter where I now volunteer part-time. The rest goes to Josh, and I made sure it's locked down tight, protected from any greedy hands. Brielle's name is nowhere on anything anymore. She lost her power, not because I yelled or fought, but because the truth caught up with her. Sometimes karma doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door in. And sometimes, the best revenge is living long enough to see the people who made you feel invisible finally be seen for who they really are. That's my story. I cooked the meal. They choked on their own lies. And I walked away full.